Hey, it's Kelly. Welcome back to my channel where we talk all about how to glow from the inside out. Today, I want to do a chatty morning skincare routine. I just want to slow down, show you some stuff that I've been using in my routine, as well as some new things that I'm testing out. But I really want to share with you my story about how not even how I started my YouTube channel, but like how I got here. You know what I mean? Because it is really a journey with a capital J. We're talking a 12-year long journey and story to me being able to stand in front of you today and share all of this content with you. You know, kick back and relax. If you're doing your skincare, do it along with me. If you're getting ready in the morning, or maybe you're relaxing at night, or maybe you're just listening to me in your ears while you're walking. Yeah, I've got a lot to share today. So if you are so ready, give the video a big thumbs up and let's get started. So starting off with the cleanse, today I'm using La Roche-Posay Gentle Foaming Cleansing Oil. This is not an oil cleanser. This is just a foaming gel cleanser that is gentle and moisturizing. I did use some petrolatum last night, so I want to break through those thick layers of skincare with the cleanser. Now going in for the Make Prem Relief Me Essence Toner. You know I absolutely adore this one. I use it all the time. It feels so good. All right, so where to start? I mean, I guess I should start with all the way back in 2013. I graduated college that year and I was in a program. My degree is actually in theater. It's interesting. It's a Bachelor of Science, but in theater arts. And I wanted to be an actor. I had wanted to do that for many, many years. I was in an intensive program when I was in high school. I was part of a young company. I was performing Shakespeare and Moliere and doing a lot of classical acting, very serious work, right? And when I got to college, it was really exciting, but the first university that I attended, it just wasn't quite the right fit for me personally, and I really felt like I needed to transfer. So I did that in my junior year, and I lost some time from transferring because I lost some credits and things didn't quite equal over to the other universities. So, you know, transferring into a program in your junior year, I wouldn't recommend it if you have other options, because it just didn't click. You know what I mean? It was on paper a better program, but for me personally, it just wasn't the right choice. And it did mean that I felt very isolated and alone for the 2 years after I transferred up until graduating. I just didn't really find my people when I was there. And the program itself was, like I said, on paper, a good program, but it was actually a very, for lack of a better word, like an abusive theater program, because the overall vibe, now not every professor was like this, but the overall vibe of that department and the department head was very much like, I'm going to break you down in order to build you back up better. When you're broken down and then you're built back up by a specific person, it means that you don't trust your instincts. It means that you don't trust your talent. It means that you don't rely on your skills. You rely on a director, right? Or somebody to guide you, a guru even, right? So that was the vibe. And I did not know that going in. And once I was in it, I was like, ooh, this is not the right environment to foster me as an artist, as an actor. And I feel like transferring into a program like that at that point in time, like I said, 2 years in, everybody else had been there for 2 years. They had gone through the broken down process, right? And now they were getting built up, but I hadn't been broken down yet. And so there was just always this frustration. And those 2 years, like I said, I didn't find my people. I was in just constant criticism. I couldn't do anything right. And I knew there was something fundamentally wrong about that for me personally as a person. And so I spent 2 years like that, and that breaks you down in spirit, right? It breaks you down in confidence. Even when you fight that, even when you know it's happening, eventually it wears you down. So this is the Farmacy Honey Milk Essence. It's back. This one took a little bit of a retirement for a couple of months in the worst days of winter. I'm going to show you the texture really quick. for those who don't know, it's kind of like a gel cream. You know, there is such a plumping, hydrating factor to this essence, but the honey in here does give it this kiss of moisturization, but this plumpness is so amazing. And so I'm going to use that with the Medicube HR Pro booster device. I've been playing around with this for a while now. I'm actually just going to use this on the booster for brightening setting. And so I just do this in soft circles, which is the recommended method for using the booster mode. So where was I? So when I graduated in 2013, I was really broken down, and I was really, at that point, I did not have the confidence in myself to go out into the professional theater world and audition, because you need a lot of confidence, right? You have to hear so many no's before you hear yes, and a lot of rejection. And I was just like, no, I can't. Like, I know I cannot handle that. And I also, you know, I didn't really have a very strong plan about what I was going to do. Just getting to graduation was the accomplishment, honestly. And so I graduated with student loans, like everybody else does in the US, right? I had a lot of debt that I needed to start paying back, and I needed money. You know, I didn't have any. And so that was definitely a motivating factor for my next moves, which was I was working at the mall. And just working retail and hoping to find something a little bit more permanent. And definitely, like, you get the message that like creativity equals being poor, equals poverty, right? If you want to pursue that dream, you have to give up the idea of financial security, I think. And that also scared me, something I internalized. So I was working part-time, and then I was working on YouTube at that point in time. I did actually start my channel in 2013, such a long time ago. A little bit before I graduated, my intuition was like, you love watching YouTube. Because I told you, I was like, I didn't really have any close friends, anybody who was like really there. You know, I had acquaintances. So I spent a lot of time alone, and I spent a lot of time on YouTube because of that, right? Parasocial relationships before we even had the word for it. And I just felt like these people were helping me so much that I kind of was like, I want to be that for somebody. You know what I mean? At a certain point in time, I want to be on the other side of the screen doing this. I felt like that was a good way for me to channel creativity was through YouTube, while also, you know, working, you know, real AF jobs. And I was doing makeup content. So I had like no subscribers, but I committed to doing YouTube for one video a week for a year. And within that year, yeah, I was working part-time, and then I picked up, in addition, a full-time job. I got offered a job at my eye doctor's office. And then eventually, so I was working two jobs and doing YouTube for a while, really hustling. And then eventually the job at the eye doctor turned into just my main gig, my full-time job. They were able to give me enough hours, and I was making enough money. I didn't have to work two jobs. And then eventually I actually trained and took the test to become a licensed optician in my state. So I went pretty far in that career. And I will say I was good at it, but quite honestly, it was draining me every single day because it wasn't in alignment with me, right? Like it was goodish money. It was a fine enough job. It was a career path. It was respectable, but it was draining me every single day because I wasn't doing what I personally feel. I wasn't using my personal gifts, right? Which was like creativity. And what I've learned now throughout the years too, as part of my gift, is being a teacher, right? And relaying information. And that was something I was kind of doing in my job as an optician, but not in a way, not with information I was passionate about teaching. And then I was spending my weekends doing YouTube and getting no traction there whatsoever, that by the time 2014 rolled around, I was like, I'm just kind of done. You know, I think I ended up doing a full year or maybe 13 months on YouTube, one video every single week. I don't think I ever missed an upload, but I only got like 150 subscribers, 100 people maybe. And I was just like, what's the point? You know what I mean? Why am I doing this? And I was drained. I was depressed, quite honestly. I was feeling very jaded about the world after, all of this education and everything. And it's like, this is what it is. Like, this sucks. This is so draining. training. It's so tiring. And so I quit YouTube in 2014. And I really do regret that. So next I'm using Numbuzin number 9 NAD plus Bio-Lifting-sil Essence. And it's called an essence, but I mean, look at this texture. It's totally like a serum texture and really building on that creamy, moisturizing, but also hydrating, plumping texture from the Farmacy product. And this it feels so good. It's like very chewy, dewy, you know what I mean? In the texture, you see this like stringiness. It's not sticky. There's a ton of peptides in here, plus the NAD ingredient. I've been playing around with this one for a few weeks now. I started using this in January and I do like it so far. I'm trying to test it a little bit longer just to see if we get any more effects for like firming and plumping. I do think it's happening, but I always like to give a good thorough testing with products. So that's all I'm going to say about it right now, but it is something that everybody's been talking about. So I was working at that job, my first optician job from 2013 to 2016. And I lost that job. There's a lot to that story that I don't have time to go into, but it really kind of came out of left field for me. I felt so, even though I didn't like the job, I felt so rejected from it. You know what I mean? If somebody breaks up with you and you're like, but I wasn't really that into you anyways, right? It's like, it still hurts. And it was one of those things where I was like, you know, maybe this is a sign. You know, I was feeling so bad in that job, and I was looking for other jobs, but I just was not getting any hits. It was really hard to navigate that. And then, you know, the universe was like, well, you didn't want this job anyways, right? So here you go. I was like, well, I'm going to take this time while I'm looking for a job, and I'm going to start blogging about skincare. And my blogging, that's why I said that, was starting Instagram. I took my personal page and I just started to post pictures of the skincare that I was using, which by that time I had been kind of fully into K-beauty for many years at that point. And so I started posting pictures of mostly K-beauty products and writing little reviews and showing routines. And this was back in the, you know, static image days of Instagram, just pictures and micro blogging truly is what it was back in the day before Reels. Let me share with you something, because I told you, you know, I lost my first optician job. And while that meeting was going down and they were like, you can't work here anymore. It was well-intentioned. It really was. I know that this was in good faith, but my boss, who was the eye doctor, was like, well, now you're going to have more time for like your K-beauty and K-pop stuff and your skincare. You're going to have more time to do your skincare now. And I was like, I know this person, they meant well, but it was a really effing stupid thing to say, right? I'm holding myself back from swearing, but like, it was really stupid and kind of misogynistic, right? But that being said, it's kind of funny now. now, yeah, I have a lot more time to do skincare. So I was doing Instagram and I was like, cool. And then the fear set in. The fear that I was going to run out of money. The fear that I was falling behind somehow, because I will say part of the motivation of staying in the job that I didn't like was that I felt like, at least on paper, I'm checking off the correct boxes in my life. This is the mind of like a mid-20s person who's just like trying to like be an adult and just doesn't know how to do it, right? And so you just start to like put certain careers into certain boxes, or like equate your worth, right, to your labor, which is a pitfall. And so I was checking these boxes mentally, like, I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. Why do I still feel so empty? Why do I still feel like so much is missing? Why do I feel so like I don't want to get out of bed in the morning? Because what's the point? And then I started doing Instagram, right? And when I was unemployed and I was liking it, I was enjoying it, but it wasn't making me money. And it definitely wasn't in my mind at that point in time checking those boxes. So I felt like I was falling behind. Yeah, the fear set in. So then I ended up just going back to optician work, just in a different office, right? But doing the exact same thing. So this is the Skin 1004 Probio-Cica eye cream, which you know I love and I've used in so many of my routines over the last couple of months. It just has this lovely, creamy, but easily absorbed, breathable texture that I really, really like. So yeah, so I went back to optician work, and it's funny. So from 2016 to 2018, I worked in this this other job, and it's so funny how the universe works, how synchronicities in our life works, how we are being directed down the right path or the wrong path, right, at all times. And that job was, at first it didn't seem like it, but it was like it was in so many ways the mirror image of my first optician job. I mean, not just talking about like I didn't feel it, right? You know, and it was draining me, and it was like I was good at it, but I didn't like it. Not even just that, but like the personalities in the office were the same. The structure and the dysfunction of that office was the exact same flavor of dysfunction of the other job. It was a literal mirror image. It was like, looking back on it, it's really spooky to think about. Like, you just got yourself into the exact same situation that you were so thankful to get out of, even though it wasn't your choice, right? And then you just set yourself back up in that exact same structure because like maybe you only know how to function in dysfunction. I was like, this is not right. And then I lost that job too in 2018, at the beginning of 2018, in the exact same way, for the exact same reason, like with the exact same slaps in the face. Do you know what I'm saying? Like there was something so eerie about the whole thing. And I can look back at it now and be like, it was synchronicities. It was the universe realigning me. I felt like crap about it. And like, I felt very shameful about that. Like, actually me talking about this is quite liberating because nobody ever wants to talk about how they just like lose job after job, right? Because even when it's not your fault, it still feels like it is. And so it still feels like it reflects on you, right? Like there's something wrong with you. So yeah, it is actually quite liberating to talk about this. That being said though, yeah, I didn't get out of bed for a couple days after that. But then I was like, okay, I feel like some part of me somewhere buried deep inside is getting the message. This is not for you. You tried this twice. It's not working. You have to do something different. All right, Stratia Lipid Gold, 1 pump today, and then I'm doing 3 drops, 1, 2, 3, the magic recipe of the Fortify facial oil mixed together for all that good barrier support. 2018, I just decided I can't go back. I can't do that again. I'm not going to do it for a third time. Like, you know what I mean? Like, shame on me if I do that a third time. I'm going to figure out a different way. And so I went back to Instagram. And I had kind of fallen off on my posting at that point in time. So I went back to Instagram and I was like, I have nothing but time. Do you know what I mean? So let me get back on Instagram, but let me get back to that YouTube channel. And I had been so afraid to log into my YouTube since I quit it in 2014. So for a couple of years, because I was just like embarrassed that I had tried and failed so hard at YouTube, what I felt like I failed so hard at. And I went back in and I was like, oh, that's so weird. One of the videos that I had posted like 2-3 weeks before I was like dunzos, actually was getting a ton of views. Like it was picking up in the algorithm and it was still getting views. So I posted it at the beginning, I think of 2014. And in 2018, 4 years later, it was still getting views. It was working for me. I saw that I was getting everything that I had wanted back in 2013. It was happening. It just wasn't happening on this arbitrary timeline that I had created for myself. 1 year on YouTube, and if I don't make it, then I don't, right? Weird to put a kind of timeline like that. Sometimes things take longer than we think it's going to, but if we keep showing up, if we keep dedicating ourselves to it, that will pay off in the end, as long as we're learning our lessons and getting better every single time, right? And so it was working for me. I just wasn't patient enough. I wasn't invested enough in like just going until it happened. I was invested in going until a year and I couldn't do it anymore. And that's legitimate, but I'm just saying there was a greater lesson there for me, especially about perseverance, and, you know, not focusing in on vanity numbers all the time either. So that was the sign for me, right? That I need to lean into this. There's something happening here. And you can make money on YouTube, right? You got to work really hard, but you can do it. And so that was my little golden thread. that I was starting to follow. Like, this might be where I need to be right now. This might be where my energy needs to be focused on right now. And so that's what I did. I started in, I will also say too, the video that I'm talking about that got me back in, it was a video about clogged pores. And it's a terrible video now when I look back at it. The advice that I'm giving in there, not as sophisticated as what I might be telling you now, but it was about something that was happening on my skin that I was working on with skincare, and I was teaching tips about what I had learned that had worked for my skin, and I was relaying that information. And what do I do now on YouTube? Like I told you, I started doing more like makeup looks and what's in my purse and fashion and things like that. It is skincare. It's educational skincare. It's ingredient education. It's talking about things that work and why they work and why they may or may not work for you, right? And testing things out. And so I took the vibe of that, what was working with that video, that essence, and I made that the guiding factor of what I wanted to put up on YouTube. Yeah, I definitely had some other videos that I was trying to do as well too. You're not always like, oh yeah, it all clicks at once. It's like looking back, it all makes sense. You follow that, like I said, that golden thread. But that was my thread, and that was my throughway, K-beauty and skincare, and in a fun, educational way. And those videos, it just something about the timing of everything, the way that I was showing up, the way that I was sharing my talents, right? And not trying to be somebody else or check boxes, but really embrace my talents. It started to pick up, slowly but surely, but it started to work. All right, Cerave Moisturizing Cream. And so I started in early 2018. And I just kept going, a video a week, and then it started to become 2 videos a week. And I was trying to work towards getting into that partner program so I could start making some money off of my videos through AdSense. And that took me about a year. I think I didn't start making AdSense money until early 2019. And that was, like I said, like posting. I think I was still posting 1 a week, maybe 2 a week at that point. And just working really hard on my Instagram and trying to get my name out there and trying to, you know what I mean? Like just find the people who are going to enjoy my content. By that point in time, I had also gotten a work from home part-time marketing job. So I was able to align that need, right? Because you need money to live, right? That need for money without compromising the bigger goal of working on YouTube and transitioning to that full time. I was really starting to feel it. It was building. There was momentum in 2019 for sure. That was a great year for me of really feeling affirmed of like, this is the right path. But then the pandemic hit, and as much things that came out of that were not great and the way that affected us collectively as people. Yeah. But I will say that point in time where more people were plugged into content, and especially skincare content, the timing was right for my channel to really start to grow. And I was able to collaborate with some bigger channels that also helped put me on the map as well. And so I've just been building every year from that point onwards, and I've not really looked back. And so it is kind of an interesting story. The reason why I just feel like I was meant to be here. Do you know what I mean? I feel like so much of my life story that I just shared with you has been me following that thread to get to you, to get to here. So Skin 1004 Hyalu-Cica sunscreen, it's my favorite. Why reinvent the wheel when you don't have to? I love this sunscreen so much. So yeah, I wanted to share the story because, like I said, it's actually quite liberating, right, to share your story. But I would also say there's so much in there that I think is really relatable to, and maybe anybody who's struggling right now to figure out what you're good at, and to make sense of the pitfalls and the failures, supposedly, right? I don't really love that word, because failures are just like redirections, right? And I think that my story really shows that failure, you know what I mean? Because it could be a story of, I was supposed to be an actor, but then I wasn't. And I thought I was getting into a great college program, but it actually ended up being the worst thing for me and I made the wrong choice. And then I ended up in a career because I needed to make money because I'm not born from generational wealth. And you know what I mean? And I have to make money to support myself and to pay off these loans for this degree that I'm no longer using. That story told in those words, it's the same story, but it's different words, it's different emotions, right? It's a different takeaway. But sometimes you have to understand that like failure is not this shameful moment in your life where you're being rejected and you're being punished, right? Sometimes failures are redirections. That doesn't mean that they aren't challenging, and it doesn't mean that they can't be difficult to move through. These were very difficult years of my life. Looking back at where we feel that shame of failure, it may actually have been a turning point in our lives where we said, okay, no more. Or we said, okay, I'm going to try something different. Or okay, I'm going to take a risk, calculated, but a risk, right? Or I know I need to make a change. You know, even though change is uncomfortable and hard, I know there's something better on the other side of this. I have to take this failure as a lesson, as a redirection in my life. And when you're able to do that and then move through it and then look back at it like I am now 5 years, 10 years later, then I can see that that was secretly a good thing that happened to me, not this shameful thing that happened to me, not this ultimate failure as a human being that happened to me, but it was just my path. Part of the reason I wanted to I made my very first video on YouTube in 2013 was because, like I said, I wanted to be on the other side of the screen one day doing what all of those people that long ago did for me, to uplift me, to help me, to support me in ways they don't even realize that they did, right? And so I want to do that, and I'm doing it, I think. So thank you for being here with me today. I'm so grateful to you. Like, you don't even know how grateful I am for you and for our community that we are building here together. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, as always. And if for some reason this is the first video you watched from me, please hit subscribe if you made it this far. Come join our skincare community where we talk about glowing from the inside out, right? It's not just about how we look on the outside. It's about how we feel from the inside as well, and how that contributes to our glow. Come join the community, hit subscribe, and turn on notifications. All right, I'm gonna go. I really hope that you keep shining your light. I love you so much, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.